Every morning the world starts quietly, one soft light at a time. Homes flicker awake, shops open. People take those first small steps into a brand new day. And in all of that ordinary movement, there's something kind of extraordinary. A moment worth noticing, a spark you feel before you even name it. Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's small, but kindness shows up right on time. And every morning we choose to show up with you so we can look for that spark together.
Good morning. I'm Matt Roof, the Uncommon Kindness Guy, and this is Kindness Rising. Let's rise together.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Have you ever noticed how growth is obvious in hindsight, but almost invisible while it's happening? Because when you're in it, it doesn't feel like progress. It feels like effort, confusion, repetition. And today we're talking about what growth actually looks like before it looks like anything at all.
This is Kindness Rising.
You know, we tend to recognize growth once it's polished, right? When it's successful, when it's confident, or when it finally makes sense to us. But real growth, it's totally awkward. It's unclear, like you're doing a lot of work without much feedback. You're learning, but still messing up. You're changing, but still unsure. You're becoming something new without fully letting go of the old. And that's the part people don't see. This week is about behind the moment. Today is about honoring the stretch, the uncomfortable middle where growth is happening quietly. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Kindness Rising. I'm Matt Ruth, the Uncommon Kindness Guy, and I come here every weekday morning, 7:30 a.m. Eastern, to wake you up with a little hope, a little humanity, some humor, some growth, some personal development, and some conversation, some real communication in the chat. Let's get involved together. Michael Sullivan, future life coach. Welcome in, Mike. Sully, every day. I appreciate that you're here. I love seeing you over at Mornings in the Lab with Keith, John, and friends when we leave here. It is great that you've become a real part, a thread in our community. So stay involved. We appreciate it. Keep getting up at 4:30 a.m. and getting after it. It's freaking awesome, man. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Welcome everybody else to Kindness Rising. Meet Mike Sullivan in the chat. Get involved in the chat. Talk about times when maybe you were growing and didn't realize it, or you felt like you had to take a step back from something. That's what we're going to be talking about today, talking about that step back or that walk away, that moment, those times when we have to make a decision to be strategic about changes in our lives. We all have them. We all have choices, and we all have changes that come with those choices. And so we have to think about it. And stepping back or walking away is one of those choices. We're going to talk about it today. I appreciate so much this channel and Mornings in the Lab. Thanks, Mike. We appreciate you. Probably, my guess is more. Because we can't do it without you. We can't do it without all the other people who get involved in the network, who get involved in the lab, in the shows at Kindness Rising, 7:30 a.m. Mornings in the Lab with Keith, John, and friends at 8 a.m. on YouTube. I'm on LinkedIn. Keith's over on X. You can find us. I promise. I promise. Come visit us. Say hello. Get involved. We are here to help the world wake up with a little bit of energy, with a little bit of hope, with just a little bit of a more positive mindset going into the day. Amy Doolin, welcome, welcome. I am glad you've chosen to join me, Matthew Roof, and Mike Sullivan, and all the others that I know are out there, but just haven't chimed in yet. Amy Doolin, where are you coming from? What's up? I am glad you are here. And we are talking today about growth and about change and about stepping back. And there is a story from sport, but it's also just from the world. It's a fascinating story. I actually just watched a movie. I talked about it on the show earlier this week that involved this guy. I'm talking about Michael Jordan. I'm talking about Air Jordan. When he retired for the first time, I remember it. It was like, what? Well, he's retiring. He's on top of the world. They just three-peated. He's the face of basketball. And as a kid, I felt like he was quitting. But as an adult and looking back and seeing his story, I realize what was going on in that man's mind. I can't understand the pressure. We didn't see behind that moment what the weight that he was carrying. He was exhausted physically and mentally. And just months earlier, his father was murdered. So I'd say that's probably a moment where you go, okay, maybe I need to think about my life, even when I am the greatest basketball player in the world, objectively, particularly at that time. I'm not even a huge basketball fan personally, but objectively, Michael Jordan was the greatest of all time at that sport, possibly the greatest athlete of all time. But that's a whole other discussion about what makes an athlete. Anyway, basketball had always been tied to his relationship with his father. Jordan said he was his greatest explorer, and or not explorer, supporter. Excuse me, wrong word. And so for Jordan, when his father left, some of that meaning of the game was gone for him. Good morning, Roseanne. Good morning, Mom. I'll see you in just a few short hours. Be safe in your travels. He tried baseball, Jordan did. He struggled. He failed publicly. And later, Jordan actually even said that going into baseball humbled him. I know I laughed at it too. It was kind of like, what is this guy doing? He's on top of the world, just won three basketball championships, trying to step into something else. At the time, I didn't understand what he was doing. He was stretching himself, trying something new. And when he came back to basketball, he wasn't there to prove anything anymore. He came back because he missed the game. He remembered the love of the game that he had. So only through space, through grief, and through a reset did his greatness return. Sometimes growth isn't about pushing harder, it's about listening to what's breaking. And that's growth behind the moment. Welcome again. Welcome everyone to Kindness Rising, your morning dose of hope, humanity, and heart. Michelle Ruffino. Welcome in, Michelle Ruffino. I am glad you are here. Stick around. We are getting up and getting after it with a little bit of positivity. Today we are talking about growth. We are talking about balance. Holroyd, welcome. Adam Holroyd, the OG, as he is known, sticking around with us at Mornings in the Lab here at Kindness Rising and over at Mornings in the Lab with Keith, John, and friends pretty much every day. Appreciate it. Holroyd, I had a conversation yesterday with a guy that was a train guy, and I was thinking about you. This guy, his family owns a small, I was trying to figure out the business model or whatever it is, but it's basically a tour train that runs between two little cities here. They do Santa Claus runs, they do booze trains in the summer, and it's just a little run back and forth. He's actually being certified as the engineer. He's a brakeman now, blah. But as I was talking to him, I was like, wow, this is a guy that Holroyd might have something to talk about with. That was a pretty cool IRL experience that connected back to my digital experience. And I learned a little something about trains yesterday. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Although my favorite part of the conversation with this guy was him talking about his time as a conductor on a train and having to boot people off the train, and or having to deal with people who had particular people who had partied a little too much and decided they didn't need to use the toilet, they could pee off the train and stuff like that. That was just actually kind of hysterical stories that this guy was telling me. So it was a good conversation. The point is, Holroyd, I'm thinking about you even when you're not here on Kindness Rising and in Mornings in the Lab. I immediately thought of you. I was like, cool, train guy, cool. I know another train guy. That's awesome. Anyway, I'm going to take a sip of my coffee because my mouth is dry. How's everybody doing? Yeah, it's fun. Mid-scale. Okay. I don't know anything about hot train hobbyists. was never a thing of mine. I had a little one, and we put them up, and whatever, particularly at Christmas time. Uh, but yeah, it's pretty cool. The little train sets. I do like what I love about train sets when I see them is just the creation of a world. Not so much about the train, the track, the engines, the caboose, the train himself. What I love is the building of the world. We have a really cool exhibit in a museum here in Binghamton, New York, called the Roberson Museum. It's an entire room, huge room museum that they've recreated basically the triple cities of this area, southern tier of New York. They've recreated this huge room of a train, and you drive by and you go by, it drives by landmarks, and there's people in the community, and it's really cool. This little microcosm, kind of geeky, I know. Reminds me of Beetlejuice, the guy up in his attic. Anyway, way off track, but I love talking about stuff like this. I do like that. I have one hobby that I do have is a Christmas village. I collect the Department 56 original Snow Village. Little weird little thing. I did it started when I was a little kid. I had a collection. I would get new pieces every year, a piece for Christmas, a piece for my birthday. We'd build a set, and every year it's become a family tradition here with my own children too, picking out the pieces for the year. We have too many to all put out at once, but we enjoy setting that village up together and creating our own little snowy world, and it lights up at night. It's pretty cool. Enough about me, because that's not why we are here. We are here because this is Kindness Rising, your morning dose of hope, humanity, and heart, where we multiply kindness and unlock growth for good people doing good work. And that's what Kindness Rising does. And one thing we do is we always talk about an organization, some kind, that's out there in the world doing this kind of good work to amplify the voices of those people who are doing that good work. Eduardo Guzman, welcome to Kindness Rising. I'm glad you're here and getting involved in the chat. Don't be shy. Say hello. So today's Kindness Spotlight is on an organization called the JED Foundation. Their work centers on a truth we don't talk about enough. Growth isn't about pushing forward. It's about having the capacity to continue. The JED Foundation focuses on emotional health and resilience, especially during seasons of transition. When identity is shifting, pressure is high, and the expectations don't let up, they understand that burnout, grief, and exhaustion aren't signs of weakness. They are signals that something needs care before it can keep growing. Their work reminds us that real progress doesn't come from ignoring the limits. It comes from listening to them, because growth that lasts is built on resilience, not depletion. That's growth behind the moment. Welcome again to Kindness Rising. That's the JED Foundation. We like to lift up and amplify voices of good people doing good work. And we have a friend here. For those of you who don't know, his name is Sensei Whiskers. He's my advisor. He is my sidekick, my trooper, and he hangs with me every day, including yesterday. And I had a clip to show you of Sensei and I yesterday that I failed to show. So it may not necessarily be on topic, but I spent time creating an important message, and here it is.
Everyone thinks I've got it together.
They think that about me too.
You sleep 20 hours a day.
Yes, I nap confidently. Appearances are powerful.
So yesterday we were talking about what's behind the smile, what's behind Sensei Whiskers napping. He's a sleeper, but anyway, I don't know if that sparked any thoughts or comments or ideas for you, but I hate to waste my time and my resources in meeting with Sensei Whiskers and having our dialogue and not sharing it with you. So I did. All right. We just talked about Jordan, Air Jordan, Michael Jordan. He walked away. And there's a story in the news right about now that is about walking away. Big message that dropped yesterday from a legend in the world of sport entertainment, a gentleman named Mick Foley. I don't know if you guys are wrestling enthusiasts out there, but you probably know him as Cactus Jack and or Mankind, the characters, the roles that he played in the WWF in the 90s. Pretty much went the 90s. He was a 90s guy, but Foley's a character. He's known. If you don't know who he is, you probably have seen him and don't even know that you know who he is, with his red and black buffalo checked torn flannel shirt and that leather face mask reminiscent of Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But here's the story about Mick Foley that you may be hearing out there, and it's something that will be talked about, that is being talked about. This guy, Mick Foley, is a man whose entire career was built on toughness and sacrifice and showing up no matter the cost. And when you become a member in the WWE, and I'm sure John Anderson can explain this more even, you become you're there for life. I mean, this guy is like, when you're at the top ranks, right? And he still goes out and he does promotions for WWE, even though he isn't performing anymore at that type of level. But guess what? He's walked away. He resigned. He resigned from the WWE. 30 plus years of working in the organization, for the organization, not because he stopped loving wrestling, but because something no longer felt aligned. It was his discomfort with President Trump's response to the Rob Reiner family tragedy and the WWE's connection to something that was not aligned with his values. And he stepped away. He was uncomfortable with the WWE's continued ties to Donald Trump based on what he saw, the remarks that Donald Trump made after Rob Reiner, and about Rob Reiner. He said it crossed the line for him. And it wasn't about politics for him. He actually said that it's not about politics. It's about being a human being. So he did something that wasn't easy, especially when his entire identity, his history, and his livelihood were tied to that place. He stepped back. He's saying, in essence, I can honor what this gave me without continuing to be part of something that no longer reflects who I am. To me, that's not quitting. That's integrity. It echoes the same truth we saw with Jordan. When it wasn't aligned, he stepped away on his own. And sometimes growth doesn't look like pushing harder. It looks like walking away, not in anger, but in clarity. Because being true to yourself isn't loud, it's honest, and often it comes with a cost. That's the Mick Foley story. Mick Foley, pretty cool guy. Anyway, in general, even before him demonstrating to us what it's like, no matter what you believe, whatever it is. That's not why we're here. We are not here to create a divide or to further divide us, but we are here to highlight when people make courageous and thoughtful and self-assured and value-driven decisions. So that's what Mick Foley just did. Pretty cool. All right, and I think we have something.
Let me say this clearly. Walking away isn't losing. It's loading up. It's stepping back so you can see the whole fight. Weakness is staying stuck. Strength is knowing when to leave and when to come back and finish it.
And that's the key. That is the key. When to come back and finish it. Walking away is never doesn't have to be an end. Sometimes you can come back and finish it. Certainly, Jordan did that. We don't know what Mick Foley has up his sleeve, but we saw the example with Jordan, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in the show a little later on. But first, I want to say thank you with gratitude to everyone who comes out here, gets involved in the community at Kindness Rising, gets up with me every weekday morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern as part of the Mornings in the Lab Network, the fastest growing and the best network of live shows where you too can participate. We can help you go live if it's something that you are interested. You have a message to share in the world. Absolutely. And we are building that network. We are building it. We are building it quickly. We've got Cheryl Whitaker starting with the network coming up with a 30-minute show on joy. I'm kindness. She's joy. Keith and John, I guess, are chaos and glue. But it's all a good time, and it is the network, and the effect is the network effect after the shows. Yes, we are going to provide you with all of the technical skills that you need. We are going to give you advice from 2 years of Keith's experience, going on 8 months of my experience of working in the live world and going live for 5. John's been with us the entire time too. We have picked up a lot of knowledge and a lot of advice for you along the way, and also are creating some pretty cool stuff to make it even easier for you to go live, to never run out of things to say, to be an authority in your topic. That's what going live does. It establishes you as an authority in your topic of interest, and it builds community. We are here as a community at Kindness Rising, people getting involved in the chat, people like Mike Sullivan. Great theme today, walking away even when it's tough. Yes, even when it's tough. It is a hard decision to walk away. But yeah, so that's what you can do when you go live. And Keith Billis and myself and the entire Mornings in the Lab crew, the team is growing, the team of support for people who want to go live. We've got, like I said, Cheryl coming up in February or January-ish. I don't know. We're also going to be, Keith is going to be starting a segment with a regular guest about sex and relationships. Brianna is going to be joining him on a show there. And don't forget, John Petruccelli shows up every Friday on Mornings in the Lab to make sure that we are not falling for bullshit. He is the bullshit professor, and he has tremendous research-driven insights. And he's an interesting character from down there in North Carolina. Always has a little something interesting to say in his special way. So thanks, Petruccelli, for getting involved in the show and for being a regular on the network. All right. Okay. Another thing we do here on Kindness Rising every day is we try to give you something to walk away with, a little bit of, it's not an assignment, but it is a suggestion on how to live your life with a little bit of hope, a little bit more humanity, and lean into the subject that we're talking about today. And these are 3 tips on how to stay oriented when growth feels slow. When growth feels invisible, here's how you stay grounded. Track your capacity, not just the results. Growth includes knowing when to pause, reset, or change direction. That is self-awareness, and one of our pillars here on Kindness Rising. Respect the reset is your second way to stay oriented when growth feels slow. Stepping back isn't failure. It's preparation if you do it strategically with an eye towards the comeback or the next thing. And lastly, let meaning return before momentum. Progress sticks when purpose comes first. So if you take a step back, you decide to make a change, focus on that purpose. Growth doesn't rush, it just rebuilds. Those are your ways to stay oriented when growth feels slow. There you have it. Okay. We are rolling up on 8 o'clock. I'm going to get over into Kindness Rising. We're going to get over to Mornings in the Lab with Keith, John, and friends in just a second, but I do want to add a little bit more about the return the return from the step back. Walking away isn't the end of your story. A break can save you, a step back can protect you, but and distance can give you the clarity that you can't find when you're right in the middle of it. But here's the part we don't talk about enough. At some point, you have to come back, not to prove something, not to repeat the past, but to bring what you learned with you. And that's the part that Michael Jordan understood when he walked away. When he walked away for the first time, it wasn't because he was done. He was just depleted, and grief and pressure had taken up more than he could give. But when he came back because he missed the game, he played differently. If you watch and learn what he did afterwards, that's when he became the defensive player of the year. He had more trust and more perspective. The break didn't weaken him, it recalibrated him. And that's the balance that we're aiming for here. It's okay to walk away if something breaks you. It's okay to reset, to rest, and realign. But don't confuse rest with retreat. Get back in the game. Walk away if you need to, but just don't forget to come back stronger, clearer, and more yourself than ever before. That's the comeback. Don't call it a comeback. Anybody know that one? Okay. Well, that's what I had for you today. I hope you enjoyed another installment here of Kindness Rising, where we come every weekday morning, 7:30 a.m. Eastern, and then we get on over to Mornings in the Lab with Keith, John, and friends. And today they are talking about two things. I see two things. Youngblood, an artist. They're going to talk about him, and he talked to Howard Stern, and apparently he had some kind of an 8-hour standoff to get the job that he wanted. It was pretty impressive. And he's going to talk about this new movie, I guess the Spielberg movie, right? Disclosure Day. Why men are terrified to reveal the truth. Ooh, that'll be a good one. Absolutely, for sure. I'll be interested to learn about Youngblood. I've heard that name. It's coming up more and more and more in my feed. He must be on some kind of a tear, some kind of a run. I think he just did a concert. He was part of a concert. I was like, who's this guy? He is showing up in my world, so I guess I better pay attention, just like we do every day here on Kindness Rising. Here's the thing. If you don't feel different yet, that doesn't mean nothing is happening. Some of the most important growth, it happens quietly when you're listening instead of performing, resetting instead of pushing, and becoming instead of proving. So stay patient with the process, stay honest about your limits, and trust that growth will reveal itself later. This is Kindness Rising. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. I'll be back here tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m. Eastern, to help you rise with a little hope, humanity, and heart. Get on over to Mornings in the Lab with Keith, John, and friends. And until I see you again, stay uncommon and stay kind. What if your mornings could be inspiring and ridiculously fun?
Kindness Rising isn't just a show, it's a full wake-up vibe.
It's freaking fun, people.
Yeah, man, it's got real get after it energy.
I love it.
Wake up with Kindness Rising.
I help purpose-driven people grow their impact. 5-ingredient recipe to help you build your personal brand. Get out there and take kind action.
If it's live, they'll feel it.
On Kindness Rising, we bring you proven strategies and fresh ideas you can actually use. If you're not failing, you're not trying.
Exactly. Fail fast, rebound faster.
You'll see the bloopers and the genuine connections that make kindness contagious. We sometimes get into a little bit of trouble.
Pretty much my life made the list.
You can trust what you see right here is honest, respectful, and uplifting. Social impact organizations, and we always talk about them. Try kindness. It's way cheaper than therapy. You just made my day.